What's going on, guys? It's your boy Ty, and today in this video we're going to be looking back on 2023 now that we're finally halfway through, and I'm going to give you guys my list for just my top 5 best movies of the year so far and my bottom 5 worst movies of the year so far. I've seen 22 brand new 2023 releases so far this year. Just so you guys have an understanding of how many I've actually seen, I've missed very few films. I haven't seen Barbie or Oppenheimer at the time that I'm recording this video. This is being posted on the weekend of Barbie and Oppenheimer, but I'm recording it earlier because I'm actually going to be on vacation conveniently during that weekend of like the 21st. So yeah, I'm considering them like the second half of the year, which I think is pretty fair because July technically is the second half of the year, but you'll probably see them at the end of the year in my rankings, hopefully, if they're good enough. But with that being said, let's just get into my bottom 5, my worst movies of the year so far, starting with number 5. Guys, my 5th worst movie of the year so far, which honestly hurts me to say, is Asteroid City. I just don't think Wes Anderson had a clear direction with what he wanted to do with this. I get it's trying to be all artsy and thematically rich, but at the end of the day, I think it leaves you very confused at the end, and I understand that, you know, you could probably go on YouTube after and watch an Asteroid City explained video, but I just want to be able to enjoy a film and feel somewhat satisfied by the end. And don't get me wrong, I really do appreciate how beautiful this movie looked just overall. I thought the cast was great. It felt good to see a bunch of familiar faces, but at the same time, I just don't think everything gelled together well. Coming in at number 4, this honestly might surprise some people here. It's going to be Transformers: Rise of the Beast. I'm sorry if some of you were really excited for this, especially if you didn't enjoy the Michael Bay Transformers movies, but in my opinion, this movie is like a cheaper version of those movies. I haven't seen all of them fully, like, you know, the entire movies all the way through, but I've seen plenty of bits and pieces of them, and I can tell you one thing. I can at least appreciate that the stakes in those feel a lot heavier, and everything feels a lot larger. This movie has annoying human characters. All the Transformers are just kind of confusing when it comes to their power levels, and I don't think it's funny. Pete Davidson just sticks out like a sore thumb to me in the worst way possible because I don't want to be thinking about the actor that a Transformer is being like played by or whatever. So yeah, just kind of was a weird movie to me. And also, I thought it was such a joke the way that it ended off. Just Haribo trying to, you know, capitalize on, oh look, we have toys, you know, with the G.I. Joe reveal. Sorry, it's been a couple months, so if you haven't seen it by now, spoiler. But yeah, I don't know. I just thought it was kind of stupid overall, and I really didn't enjoy it that much. My 3rd worst movie of the year, I actually just saw. I mean, you guys might not have even heard of this, but it's going to be Joyride. Guys, let me ask you a question. Do you like comedy movies? Oh, that's great. Do you like comedy movies where the people go on vacation that are in it? That's also great. Do you like comedy movies where the people go on vacation and they get into all these crazy situations? Amazing. Then go watch Hangover. Because honestly, this movie is not funny in the slightest. See, it's been about 2 weeks since I've seen this movie, maybe a little bit less. I did my 5-minute review already. It's up on my channel if you want to check it out. And now that I've had time to sit on it, I almost completely forgot what this movie is even about, only 2 weeks after it came out. It tries to get all like emotional at the end, even though it's a comedy. And keep in mind, like I said, there's nothing really funny within the entire first and second act of this movie. Maybe 1 or 2 scenes, but at the end, it tries to like pull this whole story together just to make up for the lack of it in the first 2 acts, and it just does not work at all. Yeah, the cast is okay. I understand that it was like probably a passion project, but when like half your jokes are sexual, the other 30% is like, hey, you know, my race is insert blank here, and then the other 20% is, as much as I hate to say this, like TikTok humor. It just makes it a painfully cringe experience. I hate to use that word. Also, this movie has the most, again, hate using this word, it easily has the most cringe scene of the year so far, and I don't think it's going to be beaten, which is like a rendition of Asian stereotypes for the song WAP by Cardi B. It's a brutal watch. In the theater, I literally just wanted to close my eyes. It was terrible. But yeah, let's just move on to the second movie because I'm just sick of talking about this. My 2nd worst movie of the year so far. This one was such a layup from a conceptual standpoint. It was such an easy concept to get right. That is 65 with Adam Driver. You have a dinosaur movie set in space with Adam Driver, and it's kind of short, which means that you have like less time to like mess stuff up. You know, what could go wrong? A lot. Because this is a very straightforward, you know, non-complicated movie in the slightest. It's like everybody making this just didn't even care. Also, I'm pretty sure Sam Raimi was a producer on this. Not sure what he did in this movie. Just really weird overall. Also, Adam Driver in this movie, his character is like an alien from another planet. It's not even like he's a human. So when he sees like the dinosaurs that he starts to interact with, it's not like he's like in our boots where we'd be like, whoa, that's a dinosaur. He just sees it as aliens. So it's like, what's the point of making it dinosaurs? You could have just made it any alien and it would have been the same thing, because he doesn't even know that it's dinosaurs, but like we do. Doesn't really make sense, guys. But yeah, it was just kind of boring. It was just very generic. I feel like this really could have been better if it was maybe 2 hours and you actually had an interesting, compelling story. But guys, let's get into our number one worst movie of the year. I'm going to be honest with you. This actually might surprise some of you, because I've seen a good amount of decent to good reviews on this film. It's going to be Knock at the Cabin. I am not an M. Night Shyamalan fan, and I am starting to realize that, because I've never been so led on throughout the entirety of a movie. I was sitting there waiting for the twist through this utterly boring, suspenseless, we could say, movie where I'm just waiting for a twist. Then at the end, I didn't even realize the twist was a twist until my girlfriend explained it to me afterwards. And I was like, wait, oh, that was a twist? Oh, I didn't even catch that. And it's actually just straightforward at the end, which, as you can see with like the past few movies I've been talking about as my worst movies of the year, 2023 is not the year for straightforward movies. The characters are pretty bland. I thought Dave Bautista at least had a pretty cool performance. It seemed like he was trying to do his thing. And also we had Ron in there. Shout out to Ron. But I don't know, guys. This movie just felt really flat to me. And it's not even like I hate this movie. I just think it was so bad, and it just could have been so much better. But guys, honestly, I think it's time just to get into what you've really been waiting for here. My top 5 best films halfway into 2023. I definitely think that some of these are going to be changed by the end of the year, but I think it's just time to celebrate and reflect what we've gotten so far. So let's just get right into it, starting with number 5. The Flash. Yes, I know that sounds crazy. I know that it's just such a, popular thing to hate on this movie. I really don't understand, on a grand scale at least, the hate for this movie. I mean, I thought it had a really great story. I thought Ezra Miller's performance was amazing outside of, his own personal actor stuff situations. But it was funny. I really loved Supergirl and Michael Keaton. It was great to see General Zod back. And I'm not a DCEU fan in the slightest. I actually dislike most of these movies. And it still felt really great seeing what I thought was a satisfying conclusion to the DCEU, even though we're getting Blue Beetle, so I don't really know how this is going to work. I can admit, the CGI is god-awful in this. It's probably the worst CGI I've seen since 2000, if that's fair to say, in a major blockbuster. And listen, if you didn't like it, fine. But I thought it had a lot of really nice emotional moments that are just making me think, why does everybody hate this movie? Like, hate this movie. I don't know. I really don't know. I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. I understand it has flaws, but man, that whole intro sequence, even the ending was kind of cool, but wasn't my favorite part. But still, I just thought it was a really unique comic book film, which felt like a breath of fresh air. Coming in at number 4 is actually a movie that I saw probably a month after it released. That's going to be John Wick 4. See, the thing is, I saw John Wick 4 getting a ton of amazing reviews, saying it's literally the best action movie of the past 20 years, whatever. And I was like, wait, you're telling me it's that good? So, unfortunately, because I actually haven't seen the John Wick movies, I watched 1, 2, and 3. Then I decided to go out and watch 4. And boy, was this 3 hours of non-stop, unbelievably great practical action. Keanu Reeves is too old to be doing this. And I don't know how he's still such a master at his craft. Because, man, he's so believable on screen. It feels like he's getting beat up. It feels like he's the one beating up people in these amazing action scenes that are so creative. They're long. They're like very extended action sequences. And it really took me back. Bill Skarsgård was such a great villain in this. And I thought it was a good conclusion, unless we're getting John Wick 5, for John Wick's character just as a whole. And I was really satisfied with this movie. I liked the way that it ended. Thought it had some good side characters. The Dragon's Breath sequence especially was amazing. Blew my socks off in the theater. And yeah, guys, that's going to be my 4th best movie of the year so far. Coming in at number 3, I've got Guardians of the Galaxy 3. I'm not going to lie to you, this placement surprised me a little bit because Guardians of the Galaxy 1 is my favorite MCU movie, and don't get me wrong, I really loved Guardians of the Galaxy 3, but I thought that this one was going to be top 2 for me, probably by the end of the year, but we're only halfway through the year, and it's already slipped to 3, which I know isn't far off, but like I said, we're only halfway through the year. I loved the character moments we got in this movie, the focus on Rocket, the absolutely just menacing villain, which was such a good new feeling, which you don't get that often because they always try to do, sympathetic villains nowadays with some movies. No, the High Evolutionary is just a straight up terrible, evil person. That's it. I really do think the narrative of this film is great. It's so emotional. I'm going to be honest with you. Made me cry, okay? I don't like to admit that it did. When the scene where Rocket's with Lila in like the heaven little white space and he just is telling her that he can't die yet. I just think that's such an emotional, beautiful moment. But the fact that nobody ended up dying at the end of this movie is what brought it down for me. And I know that's stupid to say because I know that all their arcs ended relatively well. But not one person could have died. And even after the movie came out, there were like not leaks, but people were saying, oh wait, the High Evolutionary didn't even die. He also survived because apparently in the background, Drax like carried him off the ship. I don't know. I feel like that lessens the stakes to an extent, and I feel like someone sacrificing themselves for the team would have just really made it like 5 stars for me. But I don't know. Everyone getting out perfectly fine really just hurt me deep down in my heart. But at the same time, I'm happy that some of my favorite characters that have ever been put on the television screen are still alive, so I can't be mad about that. Speaking of Guardians of the Galaxy 3, my second best movie of the year was actually behind Guardians of the Galaxy 3, meaning it was originally at 3. But honestly, I put my Marvel bias to the side because I love Marvel, and I said no. This honestly is a movie that I enjoyed more, I thought was better, and I just had such a fun time with, which I guess is the same thing as enjoying. But that being Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. Guys, I have never seen a Mission Impossible movie before I went to see this just to review it for my channel, besides the first movie, which I watched like maybe in January or something like that. I was taken back by how amazing the action is in this movie. The reason that I have this one over John Wick is because I think that the story is better than the one in John Wick. I feel like their action it's different because I feel like John Wick's is more hand-to-hand based, where Mission Impossible is more like based on the set pieces and things like that. But man, this movie took me away. Like, I guess you could say in Top Gun fashion, it took my breath away. But Haley Atwell was an absolute standout in this. Gabriel with the AI was a really cool villain. Don't even get me started on the stunts. They built a damn train for this movie to run on and do stunts on. And you could tell because everything looks practical, and I love practical effects. This is like the year of practical effects over here. And I know there are some movies that have just been CGI heavy, but it seems like every movie that actually uses practical effects is making a lot of money, and movies that are just using CGI are just losing hundreds of millions. But that's getting a little bit off track. I just really loved how compelling this story was, and at the end, it left me satisfied with a nice conclusion. However, I was still thrilled to see part 2 because it left a little meat on the bone, something to look forward to, a couple of things to look forward to, while, like I said, having a nice ending. So, yeah, that's my second best movie of the year. Tom Cruise is just great. But guys, I'm just going to be honest with you. You already know what my number 1 movie of the year is. My number 1 movie of the year is Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. I want to say one thing before I forget to say it. I actually think Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning ended better than Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Because they're both part 1 movies. I think that Mission Impossible had like a nicer ending while also leaving you looking forward. I feel like Spider-Verse didn't end that well and focused more on just looking forward. But I just had to get that off my chest. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse is a generational, revolutionary movie. I was so taken back and absolutely amazed by what I witnessed on the screen the day that I went to see this movie. I've seen it twice so far. I loved it both times. And even on my second viewing, because the animation is so incredible, I still noticed new things. And I bet if I watch it 5 times, I'll notice new things every time. The way that it doesn't just focus on the animation and just trying to be, superheroes punching each other, but an actual emotional narrative is so beautiful. Guys, I made like a 20-minute video on Across the Spider-Verse. It's my most popular video on my channel. After this video, if you want to go check it out, you could see me rave about it and Into the Spider-Verse for like 20 minutes, like I said. So if you want to see that, go check that out after. But guys, this is truly an amazing character study of Miles Morales with an amazing villain in the spot, great side characters with Gwen, and just, man, this was just so unbelievably great. And I'm so happy that 10 years down the line, I'm going to be able to say, wow, I saw Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse in theaters. And I think that in itself is an achievement. But guys, that's going to be it for today. If you want to subscribe and stick around, you could see how my rankings are going to change at the end of the year, which would be amazing. If you like this video, I'd appreciate if you dropped a like. But I want to hear your thoughts. I want to hear your top 5 best movies of the year and top 5 worst movies of the year so far halfway through the year, because I feel like this is a good time to gauge where we're at. But with that being said, thank you so much for tuning in today. I love you guys, and I'll see you in the next video.